over these last few years, it's been the most freeing, healing work that I've ever done to unsilence my authentic voice. And it has also been a messy journey, and I've made a lot of mistakes along the way. And I am just so grateful to be able to share with you today some real life, true examples of what it means to give your power away, of what it means to allow your voice to be silenced, so that you can start to recognize if in your own life you are giving your power away to anyone and what to do about it. As I've started coaching clients to free their authentic voices, it has been some of the most fulfilling work that I've ever done in my life. It's been so beautiful to see the power of unsilencing our voices, our authentic voices. And it does require a lot of courage. And especially when we've been doing something for a long time and we have invited others to disrespect us, and we have given our power away to others. And I did not understand what that meant. Today, what I'm going to share with you, a few quotes from this book I really love. This is Sarah Jakes Roberts' Power Moves. And I just want to start by sharing this one paragraph because it's really encouraging and it's full of truth. All of us are messy in some way, but not all of us embark on the journey of trusting that there is power in our mess. I was afraid of my mess. I was afraid of allowing myself to really look honestly at so many areas of my life and so many ways that I gave my power away, that I allowed my voice to be silenced, that I didn't know how to stand up, even for that little girl within. And what I'm going to share with you today and some of the stories, this is actually the first time that I am sharing these stories. And why I'm sharing them is because these stories illustrate exactly what it means to give your power away and why it's so unhealthy and how it can have a very damaging effect in your personal and professional life. It's difficult to pinpoint the moment you become complicit in denying yourself the ability to be authentic. Just know that whenever you choose to allow someone to settle on a false idea of who you are, then you are embracing an existence that is contingent on inauthenticity. When I was in my early 30s, I was tasked with the responsibility of preparing a Christian camp, summer camp. And it was on top of my other responsibilities. And I spent every weekend and every free moment I had throughout the week working on the planning and preparation for this camp. And it was a beautiful summer camp. Later on, one of the mothers of a teen who had participated in the summer camp walked up to me and my supervisor. And with tears in her eyes, she looked over to my supervisor and said, "I just have to thank you so much for all of your work in preparing and planning the summer camp, because it has changed my son's life. And he's had this beautiful experience of growing in his own personal relationship with God. And I just want to thank you." My supervisor, shoulders back, chin up, he just opened his arms and said, "Thank you so much for telling me. I'm so glad your son had a good experience." And then she left. And this is to give you a little insight of the way that I used to live my life and think. because it became second nature to give other people the benefit of the doubt, always. And I was thinking, well, it really is a win-win situation because this mom was so grateful that her son had a wonderful experience at the summer camp. And my supervisor, well, he was feeling very good about himself at that moment. And I was thinking, well, I wasn't doing it for to get any type of credit or validation. I've always believed this quote. I think it's so beautiful and I live by it. And it is one of my core values. A lot more in life would get accomplished if we didn't care who got the credit. And I still believe that today. Yet today, I understand what it means to stand up for someone whose voice has been silenced. I know the importance of not giving my power away. To live an authentic life and to live true to ourselves is to not allow, just as Sarah Jakes Roberts is teaching us in her book, Power Moves, whenever you choose to allow someone to settle on a false idea of who you are, then you are embracing an existence that is contingent on an authenticity. So, in my commitment to live a much more authentic life, today I understand the importance of speaking up, the importance of not allowing my voice to be silenced and not silencing my own voice, and understanding that it is within our power to speak. And what I could have said in that moment, I could have shared my truth. It touches my heart so deeply to know that your son had such a wonderful experience at that camp. And it just confirms to me how worth it was to invest 6 months of time and planning into the summer camp. Because just hearing you talk about the experience that your son had, it makes it worth it all. And I'm so very grateful for you coming today to share that. It means so much. Thank you. I'm speaking now as somebody who's a former master people pleaser. But when I was a people pleaser, the reason why it would have been so hard and scary to speak those words of truth and authenticity was because I was afraid that in doing so, my supervisor, who had just taken all the credit for 6 months of an investment of my time and work, that he wouldn't be as pleased. And maybe it would cause a little bit of tension in our relationship. All these years later, I have a really different understanding of the situation because today I understand what types of leaders I look up to and I admire the very most, and the styles of leadership that are a total turnoff to me. Had I communicated back then, who knows? Maybe I would have lost my position. But I realize today the value of living true to ourselves. And it can be so hard and it can be so scary. And it can require a lot of trust to really believe that God's got our back, the universe has got our back. And if showing up authentically and living true to ourselves results in changes that are hard and difficult, to really believe in the long run that what we're going to attract into our lives is the types of relationships and the types of environments that are supportive of our growth and authenticity. And to ask ourselves that question: what are our core values? What do we really value? And to make decisions in alignment with what those core values are. It can be one of the hardest and scariest things we'll ever do. It can be very scary to speak up for ourselves, especially if you've had the tendency to be a people pleaser, especially if you haven't felt free or safe to express your authentic voice, and especially if it has become a habit to where you have given your power away to others by allowing others to see you or believe things about you that are not true. And I know this can be really, really daunting and really, really scary. But I just want to tell you that when you take this step to live your truth and to live authentically, it's like a ripple effect. There are going to be a lot of changes in your life. Even those changes, when you end up in a new situation or a new environment, you're no longer betraying yourself. I love Byron Katie's work and inquiry. And when we really take a moment to question some of the thoughts and the stories that we have. And it's so empowering, and it takes us out of victim mentality and mindset. And it really supports our growth and healing in so many areas of our lives. And when I started to do this inquiry work and ask myself about some situations where I thought I'd been betrayed, when I took full ownership and responsibility and realized that I betrayed myself every time I didn't speak up, every time I allowed my voice to be silenced, every time I didn't share my truth, that I betrayed myself. And when we are willing to start, instead of pointing any fingers, and it has been so transformational for me when I made this commitment several years ago to not blame anybody else or complain about something if I'm not willing to look honestly at a situation and take some action within my control. And it's so freeing when we let go of what we don't have control over, because something we don't have control over is other people's reactions when we live authentically. We don't have control over that. We don't. When you are breaking these habits, these are years and years of operating in a certain way and giving our power away. And especially if you have been afraid of conflict, and especially if you have a lot of empathy, and it's very easy for you to imagine why somebody did something or why they said something, and understand, really try hard to understand where they were coming from and allow them that space and have that understanding. So it is a beautiful thing to have empathy and understanding. It's important also that we learn to give ourselves the same empathy and understanding that we naturally want to give to others. It is essential that we learn how to also give that to ourselves and to give ourselves the benefit of the doubt too. It can become a habit to where we excuse other people's behaviors because we are really trying to understand why they reacted in a certain way and have empathy and understanding and hold that space. And that is a beautiful thing. Sometimes the little inner child within us is really begging for us to have our own back and to stand up and to speak our truth and to live authentically. And when we do, it impacts so many areas of our lives. And we really start to see it and to feel it. It impacts our mental health and well-being. It impacts our emotional health and well-being. It impacts our spiritual health and well-being. And it impacts our physical health and well-being. I did not realize how life-changing it would be for me to learn to take my power back through living authentically. I did not realize that I would feel so much more energized and alive in my life. I didn't realize how I'd get so much more clarity. And I'm also getting to see it through working with my clients. And it's so beautiful to see this lightness and this freedom of expression when we are willing to free ourselves from the cage of people pleasing.